Thank you, Chairman Boston. I am not Mark Takano, but I am here on his behalf, and it is truly an honor to be here with all of you today. It's great to see all of the VSO members in the room. First and most important question, are there any Californians in the room this morning? All right, a very special welcome to you. So it's an honor to join all of the members of the House and Senate committees of Veteran Affairs to hear directly from the Commander-in-Chief and representatives of the veterans of foreign wars. I'd also like to welcome the diverse group of organizations we'll hear from on the second panel. It's great to see all of you here as well, and I look forward to hearing about the priorities of Jewish war veterans, Wounded Warrior Project, TAPS, MOA, AMVETS, Gold Star to Wives, Military Order of the Purple Heart, BVA, and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers. I look forward to hearing your testimony today, and I thank you for your continued advocacy and support for the veteran community. The opportunity to hear from our VSO partners is critical to do our work. You all provide much needed resources and representation for veterans and their families and survivors at all stages of life and service. In addition, your organizations give us much better insight into issues our veterans face and how we can best address them. For example, it was VFW's statement for the record in 2019 that led staff to write the Veterans Access Act, which later became part of the Veterans Compact Act. The new benefit, which went live earlier this year, removes costs from the equation when veterans are at imminent risk of self-harm and allows them to access life-saving care when they need it most, regardless of whether the veteran has ever enrolled or used VA healthcare benefits. Any veteran experiencing a mental health crisis should call 988 and press 1 to speak with a trained professional from the Veterans Crisis Line. I hope you and other VSOs will continue raising concerns with our staff. This is how life-changing legislation comes to fruition. I'd like to continue that track record. I was encouraged to see the overwhelming support the VFW and other VSOs provided last Congress to pass Mr. Takano's bill, the Honoring Our Pact Act, and get it signed into law. Thank you for the tremendous support you provided throughout the process. Getting the PACT Act to President Biden's desk is a testament to the strong advocacy and support from passionate groups like yours. I'd also like to express my thanks to Chairman Tester, Ranking Member Moran, and Chairman Bose for their efforts to work with Mr. Takano on passing this law. Our bipartisan bill expands VA health care to over 3.5 million veterans living with the effects of toxic exposure. Our bill removes the burden of proof, which for too long has prevented toxic exposed veterans from accessing the care and benefits they need to treat their rare conditions. In total, the PACT Act establishes a presumption of service connection for 23 respiratory illnesses and cancer. Blue Water Navy veterans waited more than 40 years for benefits related to Agent Orange exposure because of Congress's piecemeal solutions. We were not going to let this happen again. Thanks to our efforts last Congress, we kept our promise. Now the hard work begins, and I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues to make sure this transformational law is implemented effectively. In the last Congress, together we secured several important wins for veterans, including, as already mentioned, passing the landmark PACT Act, and in addition, passing the Veteran Auto and Education Improvement Act, the Military Sexual Trauma Claims Coordination Act, the Remote Act, the Thrive Act, and the Sergeant Ketchum Rural Veterans Mental Health Act. We were also able to wrap up the 117th Congress with packages of veterans legislation, including the Strong Veterans Act and the Cleland Dole Memorial Veterans Benefits and Healthcare Improvement Act. I am very proud of these accomplishments, but we need to build on these achievements and continue our fight for better healthcare and benefits in this Congress and beyond. Mr. Takano's priorities and my priorities for this Congress include opposing efforts to cut over $31 billion in VA funding, including funding for the 3.5 million newly eligible toxic exposed veterans, preserving women veterans' freedom, delivering a VA for all veterans, modernizing VA care for the next generation of veterans, ensuring that no veteran is forgotten, working to end veteran homelessness and food insecurity, ensuring benefits parity for Americans' veterans, rejecting efforts to privatize the VA, conducting critical oversight and implementation of suicide prevention and toxic exposure bills, and empowering VA to fulfill its fourth mission capabilities. These are big goals, but I know that with your support and insight here today, along with the support of the Biden-Harris administration, we will be able to achieve these goals and fulfill the sacred promises we made to our nation's veterans. However, I'm deeply concerned by the budget proposals from the new Republican House majority and what it will mean for all of the accomplishments I just mentioned. VFW represents the largest number of combat veterans in the country, and the VSOs on our second panel represent hundreds of thousands of veterans and survivors as well, many of whom are eligible for new care and benefits due to the passage of the PACT Act. What Republicans are proposing would hollow out veteran programs and pit veterans' funding against other domestic priorities. What programs would you cut that serve your fellow veterans and fellow Americans? Do they propose restricting which toxic exposed veteran can receive health care and benefits? Should disabled veterans see fewer benefits? I've asked my Republican colleagues what they think should be on the chopping block in order to return VA to fiscal year 2022 budget levels and effectively cut $31 billion from VA's budget, but they don't seem too keen to answer. Maybe you can ask them. I think millions of Americans will be interested in hearing their response. I thank you and I yield back.
Thank you, Ms.